Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the USADA Pitch. Given the recent introduction of the new blood ABP modules following years of research and development, we wanted to provide some insight into blood testing in general and its role in an effective anti-doping program. The best person to provide that insight is Dr. Laura Lewis, USADA's Director of Science. Laura is going to tell us more about the who, when, and why of blood testing. Okay, Laura, let's start with the basics. Why do we need blood?
Well, Avery, it would be really great if we could test for all prohibited substances and methods in one sample type, but unfortunately we can't. There are certain substances that can only be tested for using blood, such as human growth hormone. In addition, the athlete's biological passport also requires blood, and that's needed to longitudinally track changes in specific blood values, such as hemoglobin concentration and reticulocytes. And we have a really good understanding of the normal variation of these markers. So if we see specific patterns, they may indirectly point to blood doping.
Gotcha. So does USADA do blood testing on all athletes?
We certainly could collect blood from all athletes, but the frequency of blood collection is intentionally different for each athlete. Some athletes might be blood tested several times a year, whereas others might only have blood collected once or twice in their whole career.
So that's a big difference. How does USADA determine who's going to get that blood testing?
Yeah, good question. Now, there are several different factors that go into this. So firstly, under the WADA code, we're required to collect a certain number of blood samples from athletes in specific sports. These are necessary both to establish and maintain the athlete's biological passport, but also to perform certain types of analysis. So we also assign blood testing according to factors such as the sport, the level of the athlete, the time of the season, and the type of analysis we are testing. Athletes in endurance disciplines can expect somewhat regular blood testing as part of their ABP. Strength and power-based sports might also notice an increase in blood testing following the launch of these new ABP modules that you mentioned earlier, Avery, because we need to collect a series of tests to establish a baseline profile for each athlete. And finally, blood testing can also occur in competition, either before competition or after the event itself.
Awesome. Are there different types of blood testing?
Yes. So if an athlete is blood tested, they'll notice that the DCO will collect a different number and or color of tubes on different occasions. So the lavender or the purple top tube, such as this one, that's collected primarily for the blood module of the ABP. You'll notice that these tubes appear to contain really small droplets on the inside, and that is totally normal. The tubes are sprayed with an anti-clotting agent, so the blood stays in liquid form, which is necessary for the analysis in the lab. The other type of tube, the gold top tubes, also known as serum tubes. You'll notice these tubes contain some gel at the bottom, and that's used to separate the red cells from the serum. Gold tubes are used for a number of special analyses, including testing for EPO and growth hormones. These tubes are also necessary for the markers required for the new steroid and endocrine ABP modules. So athletes who previously weren't blood tested that often, they might start to see these gold tubes a bit more regularly. So regardless of the tube collected, the blood should always be collected by a certified phlebotomist and be sealed securely in the sample collection kit. And I did want to add that our DCOs and BCOs are trained to make the blood collection process as comfortable and minimally invasive as possible. But whilst an athlete can't refuse a blood test, if they do have any concerns about providing blood samples, they really should be sure to discuss their concerns with the DCO.
Awesome. Really good to know. Thanks for all the great information, Laura. That's it for now, but we'll be back with another episode soon.